The Phalaphala Curse. South Africa today is embroiled in a useless debate that does not take the country anywhere. It's called the Phalaphala Curse. First of all, here we are dealing with a foreign currency. This is a foreign currency. Let's think about the rupee. Let's think about the kwacha, the kwanza of Angola, and the kwacha of Malawi, the Zim dollar, or any other currency, including the shilling of Kenya. Now, South Africans have got a problem of thinking that they hate white supremacy. A dollar belongs to a country which regards itself as supreme and powerful throughout the world. So if you talk about a dollar, everybody must be wet underneath the armpits just because somebody mentioned about the US dollar. Now, the problem that we have is that we do not have jurisdiction over a dollar. We can only have jurisdiction over a dollar which has been legally brought into the country. So the first inquiry shouldn't be about whether there was dollars in the cushion or the mattress of the president. The first question should be with the people who brought the dollar into South Africa, because any person who brings money to South Africa has to report it with the Reserve Bank. That question is never asked. We are just jumping to squeeze the throat of the president. Whereas the truth is, we should be starting with the person who brought the dollars into South Africa, and also contact the country of origin where the monies were taken out of its country illegally, because that also says a lot. This is international law. Of course, South Africans might not know anything about international law, but before you squeeze your president to death or cause unnecessary chaos, but I'll say it's unnecessary, but it is necessary for the opposition parties, especially the AFF, because the AFF is on the verge of being part of a coalition government. And in that coalition government, the EFF will emerge as a leader somehow, because they will be blackmailing everybody to say, if you don't accede to our demands, we are going to make the country ungovernable. How do you make the country ungovernable? It's because the people have voted, but there is no outright winner. So they want to capitalize on that. They will use a feeble thing as the Phalaphala Curse, which is not thoroughly handled by everyone. Everyone is on the political grandstand. We should be asking the questions from the country that allowed so much dollars to be taken out of their country without any report, and also ask the person who brought it as to whether that money was reported at the Reserve Bank before we crucify anybody. We cannot do it because we do not have jurisdiction. That's a problem that we have. We do not have jurisdiction to ask questions around US dollars. Only the FBI has jurisdiction to say anything about US dollars. Because I'll tell you, if anybody brings rands to America, they wouldn't care because rand means nothing to the Americans. You have to first exchange it for their currency. Then that's the question we should be asking. And also, we have a president who cannot think. This president is tasked with one thing only, that is to run the South African state, to run the affairs of the state, not do business. And the other person that we need to find out and ask questions from is the auctioneer, because Cyril Ramaphosa is not an auctioneer. Property like game from a game reserve are sold in an auction. Now, if we want to ask questions, we should be asking who was in charge of that auction. Those are the people who should be giving us answers about the dollars. Let alone that there is that video that we don't know where it came from, whether it's authentic or not. That has never been established, but it has done a lot of damage and caused so much unpleasant situation as far as our government is concerned. We should be asking those questions from the auctioneer. And also, we should be asking as to what happened to the animals that were sold. Because if this thing happened 2 years ago or 3 years ago, those animals should be in America by now. And also we need to understand that sometimes people pay in a game reserve not to remove animals, but to hunt them. They will pay and be allowed to say, you can go and hunt so many animals and kill so many animals. So that also could be the possibility. Then we are busy asking why was the goods not exchanged. So we need to be open, but the president has got no duty to answer anything around Phalaphala, because he has a duty to run the country. He has a duty to answer about load shedding and the scarcity of water in South Africa, and the fact that South Africans are unemployed. Those are the questions that he should be asking, because they are at his table. He has no duty to answer anything concerning the farm, because if this president is busy running his businesses while he's supposed to be in charge of this country, then he has no choice but to resign. If he has a tendency of even answering anything that has got to do with his businesses, that this president is not fit to govern, he is busy with his businesses. That is why this country is failing rapidly. So if he keeps on saying that money was too little, that means he knows something about the money that is being bandied about, and he himself doesn't know the rules around foreign currency. That if you bring money, big amounts of money, foreign currency into South Africa, you have a duty to report that currency with the Reserve Bank. And also, he himself, when he receives the money, he has a duty to also report the money that he has received, so much money from a particular individual who has already reported the presence of those dollars with the Reserve Bank, and he has 30 days to do so. So if he was involved and he failed to do that, he will be equally liable as the bandit who brought the money in South Africa without reporting it to the correct stakeholders. So we should not waste our time with the Phalaphala. because the Phalaphala is just a ploy by opposition parties to make sure that there's chaos in this country. People have lost confidence in the president, and then some will be reluctant to even vote ANC because of this. So people should be aware and know that the Hitlerism, the main Kampf, is the Bible with the EFF. They are busy talking about demonizing other race groups, thinking that by so doing they are going to get favor from the African majority. And it's possible, because of course we know the history of this country, that other races have had this negative attitude towards blacks. So if anybody demonizes whites or Indians or colors, that person will find favor with the masses because of our past. So they shouldn't use that. It shouldn't be like students' politics. We want real politics that will culminate into jobs, into prosperity, into a lot of electricity, clean water, because as it is now, every South African has stomach cramps because the water that we are drinking is dirty. So Africa, wake up and smell the coffee.